fucking brain, sucking the feel that I'm hard, you man, beat you a program, cause I'm in a back, drop the moves like a body slam, a drop, keep busting heads with the beer bottle, I'm on to a bitch, cause you just want to follow the capital P, the M to the devil, how you gonna battle, ho, it ain't enough for you, call me your phone, I'll see you weekend, hold you raise your hands to me, you're fucking up in the room, you know,
Hello YouTube wheelers and welcome to a new clip where we're actually going to unbox the new USD AEON 60s, the 2021 edition. Basically, this basic version speaks to those who would like one of the best profile of aggressive skates at one of the most affordable prices yet. So let's get started. And would you look at this beauty? Now we are looking at 61mm wheels, the basic AEON wheels with, if I'm not mistaken, let's see, a 90A hardness. So these should actually prove very good for the skate park. You also have the added bonus of this round profile, which unlike the square one will help you in the bowls. Of course, talking about the wheels, we actually see that there is quite a big plastic hub here at the wheel, so most likely we won't be able to expect that much of a big lifetime from these wheels. These skates also come with the ABEC 7 bearings, so these, especially for the skate park, are a great choice. But most likely all the buyers of the new USD AEON will probably be changing those wheels and bearings anyway. Coming to the frame, we can actually see once again that uniblock design. So basically the frame and the boot itself are one single piece. Now this of course will add to a better roll, so you won't be having all of those noises associated with all of the screws and bolts that would normally hold a frame to the actual boot. This uniblock design also of course has the advantage of lowering the center of gravity, because the boot itself can be sitting much lower, much closer to the wheel itself. So this allows you to sit at a very low position, which of course improves handling. In the sole department, we can clearly see that both the positive and the negative sides of the USD AEON are extremely generous here. So this could be aimed at those of us who are basically coming from the urban skating scene and never got a chance of experimenting with an aggressive skate. So this is excellent for beginners trying to learn grinds and all sorts of skate park tricks. Simply because you have a very lower center of gravity, a flat setup, yeah, so we can see it's a 4x61 with this huge, absolutely huge H-block. So we can see that these humps here are actually your wheel bite protection, because when you are actually jumping on the rail, you have a much smaller chance of the wheels catching because of these two large humps here. And of course the space is extremely generous. Moving over to the overall design, I would say that basically there's no point fixing something that's already awesome. So we can clearly see the inspiration from the fronts, as well as of course the AEON logo right here. Now the big change that has happened with this new basic version is the cuff. So we can see that the cuff now has a design that should make it a bit more flexible, while at the same time maintaining a great deal of composure in the tricks that you are doing. Now another added bonus is of course the fact that you can now change the height of the cuff, be it lower or of course keeping it a bit higher for some extra support. So we get some major improvements for a skate that really isn't costing us that much. Now we can see that the basic version doesn't have a strap or a buckle per se, but you do have these hooks like you would get basically on mountain boots that you can use to hook the laces through. So that's actually quite a good addition. The point is that of course you can unscrew this and basically mount any buckle or strap that may be compatible. Now, one thing that I actually see being a bit of an annoyance, even though the buckle is very well constructed here to strap you in very good, I do see that at the end here you basically don't have another part of the boot where the belt itself can enter. So when you will actually be putting this in, you can see that any excess would be passing out through this side. Of course, we also get some laces here, and overall I found that this is a very comfy skate to sit in. This liner does a very good job of keeping you snugly packed inside, and we also have this tongue that isn't too thick but not too thin either, and we have quite a bit of support because it's also quite a bit taller, as we can see. If we get to look at the liner, now this is actually quite a basic liner. It's along the lines of the Skinny Boy liner, but unfortunately from what I see here, there's no trace of it being heat moldable, so not sure on that one. But for me, this has been quite a good fit, and also has a bit of neoprene here at the edge, at the toe area, just for a bit more flexibility. We also get, of course, this insole. This is actually very important, simply because that unibody design means that the wheel is actually entering inside of the boot, so we can actually see the wheels inside of the boot. So this is why this particular insole is very important, because you will get your socks extremely dirty extremely fast. And to pack it all up, inside this boot we also find a massive shock absorber. We can actually see just how thick it is. I think it's probably twice as thick as the normal shock absorber would be. And if we're actually going to compare, I actually have my USD AEON 80s, and I can find quite a few differences. And here I actually have a pair of USD AEON 80s, and we can see that even though these are basically the same skates in terms of the boot, the frame is a completely different animal. We can see that this H block is actually really tiny compared to the massive USD AEON 60. If we take a look at this beautiful frame, we can see these hydrogen wheels as well that I'm planning to be using on this power blading setup. We can see the H block is probably the biggest difference between these setups, simply because even though this can be used, and I've seen people like Nick Lomax pulling off some humongous feats even with this small space, there's no comparing with what you get on the USD AEON 60s. So that's just a very big difference in terms of the confidence that you can actually jump into a grind with using something like this. Of course, another notable difference is the fact that this particular model is getting a 45-degree ratchet buckle, and indeed this is something that is very useful if you want to be extra secure in your skates. Higher up we actually see the older model of the USD AEON cuff, so we can see that it does actually have a place for the belt to get inside, but at the same time the cuff is not height adjustable. Other differences include the Skinny Boy liner. It is heat moldable, and even though I haven't tried that yet, I found that there's no real reason that I would do that, other than probably achieve just a bit more comfort. In the box we also get the user manual, basically telling you how to change the wheels and how to maintain the skates. And we also get quite a nifty little bag containing some tools. Now, one of them is this nice Allen key with a tool for removing the bearings as well, and just a classic Allen key that is of course very welcome. Now, even though I've actually skated these beauties and I can totally make a review on them now, I cannot say the same for the USD 60s. My main focus with these skates will be to actually be able to learn all of the groove tricks, something that I really didn't have the confidence to try on the USD 80s. So I really hope that this unboxing and first impressions was useful to you, and I'll be sure to post the review once I get an idea on what these babies can do.
The next morning.